Hey guys, today you're going to see a sped up video of me unboxing and putting together the X-Carve as I talk about tips and tricks of some experiences that I had putting this together. Also, I'll be doing a review on what I think of Inventables company and what I think of the X-Carve itself to this point. The video is a little bit lengthy. I sped it up quite a bit, but it's still 11 to 13 minutes probably, but hopefully you can sit through the whole video, because at the end I'll be going through some future projects that I have for and with the X-Carve. So let's get started.
So my first advice would be to take the time and make sure that everything was shipped before you start the build. I use the shipping invoice. It has a list of all the parts and everything, and I just went through and checked everything off. I was absolutely amazed on how organized everything was from Inventables. Everything's marked, labeled, numbered. Everything's in boxes in the order that it should be. Like the power supply stuff is all in a power supply box. All the spindle stuff's in a spindle box. So that was really nice and made everything really easy to find when you're going through the steps. Normally when you get something like this, you get a big old bag of hardware and you're searching through it and trying to organize it yourself, but Inventables did all that for you. Everything's beautifully organized, so that was a huge plus. Now when you're getting ready for the build, make sure you have an area large enough to cover the area for the build. I believe if you've got the 1000 meter by 1000 meter, which is what I have, you'll need at least 42 inches by 42 inches of a workbench to build this whole thing. I ended up having to move my outfeed table over to my workbench and kind of use both of them for now. So just make sure you have the room to do this whole build. Now another piece of advice that I would have is to go to the Inventables website and go to the build and read through all the material, watch all the videos before even starting to build the X-Carve. And along with that, if you have a tablet, laptop, or computer nearby where you're going to be building the X-Carve, which you should, if you're building an X-Carve, you're going to need something to run it. So I definitely use that as you're doing the build to kind of go through everything and go through the instructions. A phone would work. I wouldn't recommend it. The screens are usually really small and hard to see the pictures, but I'm going to assume if you're building an X-Carve, you're going to have some sort of computer nearby. My next advice would be keep a clean work area. Go through one step at a time, and what I did was I wrote down a list of the parts that I needed. I got those parts, I got them organized, and I got everything else out of the way before even starting to assemble stuff. So just keep your work area clean. There are some small parts that will get lost, which brings me to another piece of advice. When you see the G2 pulley, which I have in my hand right now, get the set screws for those in there as soon as possible, either in the unboxing part or as soon as you get them out of the bag. Either way, get those set screws in there as soon as possible. They're really small and would be really easy to lose. Also, for the Y and X carriages, if you have a vise or some way to clamp down on these, it'd probably make it a lot easier. I didn't think about it until afterward. Also, check your parts and double check them. You'll notice on this one I have one of the wheels backwards, and I didn't notice it until way later when I was trying to put it on the extrusion. So you'll see this wheel backwards through a lot of the video. So just make sure that everything's right. Once you're done with the step, go through and double check everything that you just did. And it will help out further down along the way. Now, if you got the Inventables tool pack, it's a good starter for getting your tools together, but you're going to need some additional tools. Couple of things that you're going to need is a soldering iron and solder. You're going to need wire cutters, strippers, and crimpers. If you're going to do wire management, you'll most likely need a heat gun. You're going to need scissors. You'll need a square. When you're tapping these screws in, like you see here that I'm doing right now, you'll need some sort of cutting fluid, either tapping fluid, WD-40. I was using Croil, so you'll need something to kind of tap those self-tapping screws in. Another piece of advice that I'd have while handling these idler wheels and V wheels, and especially later on when you're handling the GT2 belt, you want to wash your hands frequently to get all the oils off your hands, to prevent any of this stuff from slipping. You don't want any of this slipping, especially the belt. A lot of people have had problems with the belt slipping and not holding. You may even want to consider wearing some latex gloves. I didn't even think about that until way later, when it was too late, but that might be something to think about also. One thing I did not mention earlier is when I was doing my unboxing and making sure everything was there, I was missing 2 Phoenix plugs for the PSU. I contacted somebody from Inventables. They shipped one overnight with no problem, no hassle, and they were really pleasant to kind of work with and get that settled. Now, when I was getting to the point to cut all my belts, I kind of made a mistake. I watched the video for this section, and it said to cut the belts to a certain length. I didn't take into consideration that the videos are for the 500mm by 500mm machines, so they were not the size that I needed to cut them. There is no video on it. It does say in the written description what size you need to cut the belts for the 1000mm by 1000mm, and it says to cut it at 3 equal lengths. So I made a mistake, cut them short. I had to order up some new belt, which was a really great experience as well, because I had ordered them and went ahead and put it on my cart. I figured it was my mistake. I would just go ahead and purchase some more belt. And somebody from Inventables contacted me through email asking and inquiring why I needed to order some more belt. So I explained the whole situation about watching the video, cutting it to that length, and it ended up being that I have a larger unit. It was really cool because he emailed me back and said he was going to refund my money, because they felt that it was a fault on their part. So that was really cool. I've never known a company to offer to refund money without having to fight for it, and they just willingly offered it just to do the right thing. So that was really cool. That really impressed me with Inventables. So I've had nothing but great experiences with Inventables so far, and I have no doubt that that's the kind of company they are, and that's the kind of service that they're going to provide everybody for quite a long time. So I am really liking this company. I'm really liking the machines that they're putting out. Me being a brand new to CNC, I had a lot of questions, and Inventables, the people from Inventables have gotten back to me very quickly. Within an hour or two, they'd have an answer for me, whether it's email or on the forums. Okay, back to some tips. If you've never done soldering before, don't be scared of it. It's not that big a deal. All it is heating up the area that you want to put solder on, and then shove some soldering wire in there. You'll see I use some soldering flux to kind of get it to flow a little bit better. That's always worked for me. I don't know if it's the right thing. I'm not a solder expert. I've just done quite a bit of soldering on my own stuff. So the more intimidating piece is going to be the G-shield. Just make sure that you take your time, you're careful, heat up only the part that you want solder on, and just go for it. If it doesn't take the first time, you can always come back and resolder the parts that aren't soldered very well. So here I just finished the build, and I'm starting up my laptop to download the Arduino drivers, and this is where I got hairy for me. When you go to the Arduino website, do not go past step 4. You'll download the Arduino environment. I don't even think you have to open up the app. Then you'll connect the Arduino board to your laptop or computer, and then you'll install the drivers, which is step 4. That's as far as you want to go on the Arduino website. I went further, and I ended up erasing my G-shield program on my Arduino and having to reflash the whole thing.
So thanks for bearing through that whole video. Hopefully this will help somebody who's in the process or getting ready to build an X-Carve, help them through some of the things that I went through from experience. Now here are some of the future projects that is going to be coming up. So in the next video I'll be going through how I did all my sleeving on my cables and what I used for all of that, and also putting in the terminals for my terminal blocks to help with the connection on those. Also coming up in the future will be the X-Carve Workstation. I'm about halfway through the build. I still have drawers in the file cabinet and some trimming. I just put on my first coat of poly, wipe-on poly. So that will be coming up soon whenever this is finished, hopefully soon. So thanks again for watching. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And until next time, stay safe.